That's me. I got my haircut last time. Too many people. Any hockey fans around here? Not a lot of hockey fans. Thank you. All right. Barry Melrose, I was mistaken for 3 times in Canada at the Toronto TADA coming up and down the elevator. Any of you that know Barry Melrose is on ESPN, so it is the Barry Melrose cut. We're going to talk about cheat sheet today. I am the exact opposite of anything you're going to see today or tomorrow or the next couple, which means I'm not that good, number one. Number two, I have about 7 slides. I met a person about 8 years ago by the name of Guy Kawasaki, and if any of you know who that is, he was the co-inventor of the Apple mouse, of the mouse that we all use today. And he had a presentation, and it was no more than 7 slides, and one of the things that he talked about is that the presentation should not be the presentation you should be. The second thing I'm going to tell you, I was in the car business. You don't care about that. They used to put bios up here. Thank God they don't anymore, because you know why I'm not in the car business, I'm a vendor now? Because I wasn't that good, right? And that's the other thing I'm not going to tell you, that I sold 80 cars a month my first month in the car business and all that other crap all these other people do. And by the way, when you're not good at a vendor, you start to write a book. So I'm going to write a book next. Apparently that's the other thing that'll be full of nothing. So there's my introduction to you. Hey, please tweet me anytime, Billy the Kid Wit. That's why everybody kind of knows me by. I am one of the owners at ELead. I love to do this, and we do take my cell phone. That's there. Anything I can support you. I don't care whether you're another CRM company or another provider. If I can support you in any way, please reach out to me, and I'd be glad to do it. I won't pitch you anything. I couldn't close a screen-loaded door anyway, so it doesn't matter. So there you go. Tweet along during the thing. We're going to go around. I moved over to this not because I feel special, but because I'm so ADD that if I don't have an anchor, I will literally make you all seasick because I'll go back and forth the whole time, then you won't get it. So let's talk about this. Create a CRM culture. All right? You can all read. Clearly define your vision. I think that's very, very important. We don't all have a clear vision back in our dealerships. In fact, I would test you. This is my first freebie of the day. When you get back to the dealership or the departments that you run, even if it's a single department versus the entire store, here's a little quiz or a little test that you should do. You should go around to the people in your department and should ask them all what are the 3 most important things of their job. I guarantee you, you will get 20 different answers. And that's going to be the first place that I want you to start. We all think we know that everybody's on the same page, and the reality is no one's on the same page. Everybody has their own agenda or definition, so I would challenge you to go back and make sure that your activities are actually in line with what your people think they are, and vice versa. That's a really big thing. CRM requires ongoing testing and learning, right? It's something we don't do in this business. It's just something we don't do in this business. And that's being honest. That's another thing you're going to find from me today. I'm very open, I'm very authentic, and I feel that I'm very truthful, and I'm going to hit you straight on with this. So I think we need to think about that. So how do you define those clear goals when it comes to a cheat sheet for CRM, right? And by the way, CRM should not be customer relationship management. It should be customer revenue management. Because customers really don't want relationships with you. How many of you are going to a customer's house for Thanksgiving in 2 weeks? Not one that you started dating at the dealership, okay? You're not. That's what real relationships are. You're going to see and be around people that you have relationships with. Customers don't want relationships. Customers want business. They want to understand, and they want truth, they want time, and they want transparency. So make that definition. It's about revenue management in your CRM now and in the future. I'm going to be the first one right here where most dealerships fail. Biggest thing right now. The general managers, the owners, the actual people driving the store, writing the checks, don't even have a login to the CRM, let alone understand it. That's a huge failure. If you're a general manager and you are not the expert at everything in that store, you are going to get lied to. Let me tell you something about business, what I've learned. I have 1,800 employees and 7,000 accounts, and I started with 6 of us 15 years ago. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I can tell you right now, not much has changed. Except I get lied to more now than I ever have before. The higher you go and the more people you have, the more people are going to lie to you. And it's not something that's intentional and it's not malicious. It's the fact that they're trying to have an agenda with you, or they have something that they're trying to make you proud of. So where do I relate this back to a general manager, sales manager, desk manager not knowing a CRM? perfectly all the way through is because as soon as your top salesperson comes to you and says, oh, that's broken, boss. Oh, it won't do this, boss. Oh, I can't get that, boss. Guess what? If you don't know the real answer, you just got lied to. And you just fell into their agenda. And the next thing that happens, you start calling up your CRM company, say, oh, your system sucks and it doesn't work. That's funny, it works in 8,000 other stores. How come yours doesn't work? The difference is the people and the culture. Number one thing, GMs, managers have to be the experts on the product. They have to own everything. The problem with most dealerships, and you all know this, is they're the greatest graveyards of technology. You've got 7 or 8 different pieces of technology that are like boat anchors. Maybe 1 or 2 people knows how to actually use any of them or all of them together. Right? Then you go to the expert. Oh yeah, Bob, he's our DMS guy. Right? Oh, Jerry, he's our market scan guy. Whatever. You know, it's never something that's all the way through, so I would encourage that. Leaders lead by example. Leaders lead by example. You can absolutely not expect other people to do what you won't do. And if the managers aren't the power users, you're never going to have your salespeople who are the front line ones be that. Right? It's like getting information. And one thing I hear all the time is accountability. Bill, we want accountability. Every podcast, radio show, TV show I've done, it's always back to, well, how do you get accountability? Well, you actually hold people accountable. See, your vendor's not there to be accountable for your people, you are. And so then it starts with management. That's the second thing. Okay? And there's a fear factor here. Some of us are afraid to let go of the 10-car person who's been there for 22 years because they're a great guy. Because they've learned to manage to live on $2,500 a month. You've done them a disservice is what you've done. They should be selling twice as many cars today as they did 10 years ago. Why? Just from repeat and referral business. Again, managing that revenue stream, not the relationship. What else? Dedicate a CRM champion. This is number 3. By the way, don't make the mistake of having a CRM champion is your internet person or you're one that knows the computer. Everybody knows the computer. It needs to be a sales manager. It needs to be tied to sales management. It needs to be tied to deals and activities. Okay? It's a huge thing that most dealerships don't do is you have to have a CRM champion. Here's my second freebie of the day. You may see this later on. I forgot what I put at the end of this. Multitasking is a myth. Okay? Multitasking is crap. If you think that it's an additional skill that you have, you are lying to yourself. Multitasking means you're going to do a lot of things crappy, not one good thing well. Okay? So think about that when it comes to a CRM champion. Don't establish somebody that has all these different jobs and then, oh, by the way, they're also the CRM champion. No, that's their job, one throat to choke. Do the same thing with your receptionist. Here's 4th freebie today. This person talks to more people in your entire dealership than anybody does, probably by 2 or 3 times. They're the lowest paid, and then what else do? We cram a bunch of other work on them because we don't see them working all the time, so we think we got to maximize their time. I did this. I made this same fault. I'd go stack ROs and say, separate these ROs when you're out answering calls. What an idiot. It's the most important job in the dealership. By the way, tie them to your CRM. Here's another freebie. Pay them $1 for every car that's sold inside of your dealership. It's not a lot of money. You spent more on mystery meat last Saturday to keep your sorry salespeople there so they wouldn't go down to Subway and get a sandwich. Okay? It's true. You laugh because you know I'm right. And the worst is you probably even spent more than that on the helium, on the balloons that nobody gives a crap about. So take that dollar, tie that person into the sale of the car. I want everybody in my dealership with one focus: deliveries, deliveries, deliveries. If I can get the receptionist bought in to deliveries in my house, in my dealership, do you think I can get everybody else bought in? Because that's going to be huge, and they talk to more people in the world. It's not a lot of money. Then I can come back to them and start to have them tie into the CRM, because again, they're seeing more people inside of the dealership. Just throwing that out there. You should make every department a center of excellence and tied to the CRM. It's not just sales. Huge component we're missing right now in our dealerships is tying sales and service together and requiring service to be a part of the CRM. See, your service departments are 10 years behind right now because they're doing things on a handwritten piece of paper or they're bringing them inside of their little office to write up an RO. That's 10 years ago. They need to have pad, it needs to be tied to your CRM, it needs to have video, it needs to have all these items because again, it's about transparency, it's about time, it's about truth. Because that's why you're getting your asses kicked by the pet boys and everybody else. If you don't believe me, this is a plug for some of the website companies out there, go Google oil change around your dealership when you get home. You'll be lucky to show up on the 6th page, let alone the 6th spot down. Because you've spent zero money in that area. It needs to be tied to your CRM. In fact, NADA says less than 3% of any dealership's web content contains service. You're doing the same thing we made the mistake of 10, 15 years ago in the service lane. Bring them up to speed. Every department should be tied in, and your CRM company should support that in every way. And it's not just about data mining. And there's two things I'm not going to talk about today because it is just wore out. Millennials and data mining. My God, if I hear about that anymore, I'm literally going to puke. And you know what? Why do we even call them millennials? They're just different people, man. That's all. They're just different people. But data mining and millennials has been like the longest watchwords in our business for like 5 or 6 years now. Jeez, my God. You want me to tell you how we really feel? Okay. So what else? You got to know your customer better. See, this is all information. Everything in the world is driven by information, and yet we act surprised with every single new customer we meet. Oh, you want to know about pricing? Shocked by that. Oh, you want me to give you price quotes? This is strange. We don't do it usually. We all act like it's something new every time. We have all the information at our fingertips, and yet we all act like it's the first time we're doing it. So I want you to think about that. Grow that customer relationship. But what does that relationship really mean? It means information. It needs response. It means being there for support. It's a huge, huge aspect. Don't do this. Please don't do this. You got my volume? Oh.
Sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out.
Anybody have this inside their dealership right now? Literally.
Yeah.
Paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, I have the memo right here.
You spend more time looking at history in a
It's
report
not shipping out till tomorrow. So
than you look at what's really going on right now. How many of you have that inside your dealership right now? I use that because I have to break it up because you've already figured out I have zero content and this is going to suck. So there's a little breakup in here. But how many of us have that right now? You should have 4 or 5 reports, that's it. See, here's one of the problems about our business. We are the most creative people in the world, just ask us. We're all marketing majors. Half of us never even went to college, but we've got a marketing degree. We do the ad every week. It makes us feel good. I like the ones that still put their faces on there. Billy, come on down to Billy's Honda. God, people don't want to see you, man. They don't want to see you, okay? We're not the most creative. We all think everything's unique. It's not. You still have the same key indicators inside your dealership as any other dealership in the world. Information in, contact availability, am I talking to them, am I making presentations? It's just that simple. We overcomplicate this. You're going to hear me talk about that in a little bit. Keep it safe. Don't paralysis by analysis. So I'm going to give you some of those activities. What do we focus on? Right? You have to implement those performance mandates. You have to demand accountability. But please, for the love of God, do not be a baby seal killer. Anybody been in one of my presentations before? Do you know the baby seal killer? The baby seal killer is the manager that's Velcroed to the desk. You know the one. Every now and then they're called out to do the TO with the customer and the salesperson. And they come out from behind the desk. I also like to call it the igloo. They come up with their bat, and they're about ready to beat the baby seal, which is the customer. Right? That's what ends up happening. That's the close technique. Your customers view it that way. I know it's not real. Please don't go right that I'm against animals. If you follow my Twitter, you'll see that I did save a baby seal 3 weeks ago on my beach. True story. The point is what? Your customers feel that way when they come out of the igloo like that. So when you are doing this with your salespeople and it comes to reports, please don't be the baby seal killer. I want you to stop, take that breath for 1 second, and remember Bill when he said, don't be the baby seal killer. I'm going to tell you why, because your people are then just going to end up managing to your expectations. If we have time in a couple minutes, I'll give you a true story on that. SMART goals, make sure they're specific. Do not overcomplicate. This is a simple business that we've overcomplicated. Whatever works for you, make it work and follow it. Some examples of that, how about instead of worrying about getting somebody's address that you're not going to mail anything to them anymore because it costs too much money and they don't read it anyway, how about you worry about getting email address? In fact, I'll take it even a step further. How about you ask your customers how they'd like to be followed up with? See, that's another thing we don't do in our business. We assume, and then we try to funnel all of our customers to get followed up with the way we want to follow up with them. We don't ask them, would you rather be texted? Would you rather be called? No, we just try to get some information, and it makes us feel good when we send out a bunch of emails. And we're like, oh man, we did something today. We sent an email campaign. Yeah, 10 years ago I did the same thing and I sent out mail all day long. Made me feel good. I'd walk by the receptionist, she'd be licking those stamps. Got them going out, boss. Boy, I felt like something was happening then. Come on, man. Ask your customers how they want to be responded to and how they want to talk, because guess what? The consumers that are out there now, they won't respect you if you don't communicate them the way they want to be communicated to. And oh, by the way, most of your consumers think email is dead. They think it's like the Pony Express. They think it's how, like we think of mail, like writing a letter. When was the last time any of you wrote a letter? An actual letter. That's how the generation now looks at email. They're like, why would you do that? Why would you take so long? Huh? Why? It's instantaneous. It's right now. That's how they want to be communicated with. Think about that. Ask. Make sure that it's measurable and change it up. Your CRM should give you the ability to create a different challenge every week, every month, every year. Because what ends up happening is that it becomes a routine, and a routine is just a rut that's been extended. So then all of a sudden, what do you want? I want 2 email addresses. 3 months later, you'll be right back to where you were before. Nobody's focusing on it because you've just done the same thing and you haven't changed it up. This business is full of people like me. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. ADD. Got the patience of a gnat. I just saw somebody walk back there and I was already thinking something. I'm like, what's going on? I got the patience of a gnat. Organization? No way. Most of your salespeople are that way. Most of your salespeople are that way. They have zero patience, they have zero organization, and yet what do? You ask them to be organized and to do all this stuff, and then you're pissed when they fail at it. Well, you hired them, and that's the way you want them because they have to take no a lot, okay? But my point to you is change it up because they get bored fast. They get bored fast. Here's another freebie. You want to make these things happen and be realistic? Tie them to existing bonuses. Don't ever pay another bonus for a job they should be doing already. Do not do that. I used to pay for appointments on a Saturday. What an idiot. That was your job. When did we stop expecting them to do their job? Because we need to get back to that. So all of you have volume bonus, all of you have gross bonus, all of you have sell the purple, no AC, 2-wheel drive in the middle of the winter, whatever car, your loss leader. Tie it to something that's existing already. If you log X amount, if you have these activities done, if you've collected 2 phone numbers this month, you qualify for bonus. Good job. You did your job. See, a bonus is about paying extraordinary money for extraordinary production. We are not paid on potential in this business, but yet we use that word every week. Oh, he's got potential. What is that? It's you know what potential is? 1 day away from actually being fired. True story. And it's your fault that you haven't fired them. And you're doing them a disservice. Coach like crazy. It's something we've lost in this business, right? That's why I say get it into the modern pay plan. And I think we really have to take a look at that. And you know, it's not always about money. It is for a lot of us. I am very money motivated. I am very coin operated. In fact, if they had slot machines in the dealership and that's how you log things, I would have been the greatest logger 20 years ago. The bells and the whistles and the possibility something was going to happen. And really, isn't that what your CRM is already? It's just awesome. You walk into Vegas, I don't know what happens. I start hearing these things. I'm like, oh, it's like Christmas. Okay? You've got to keep it changed up. You've got to have it different. You've got to have it tied into the activities that are important to you. And you've got to continue to make sure that it's tied to the pay plan, or it won't happen. But it's not always about money. How about time off? How about that's something you can't buy any more of? How about that's one of the biggest complaints in our industry is time off, right? How are you going to go hire somebody nowadays? I know how I got hired, the 3 Ds, a draw, a day off, and a demo, okay? And the promise I was going to make $100,000 the first year. That was in 1991. I sold 2 cars in my first month. That was strong. I got a whole story on that I'll tell you later. What do we do now? What are you going to go promise them? Hey, you're going to work every night. You're going to work every holiday and every weekend. And you're probably going to do at least 60 hours a week, maybe more. And if you're lucky, you'll make 30 grand this year. How's that sound? Come on, we got to change it up. It's not always about money. Maybe it's about time. I changed my pay plans up 2 different ways. A couple of freebies. Number 1, I paid my bonuses. End of the month was on the 15th at our stores. You know why? End of the month takes care of itself already. I got them thinking 2 end of the months. Consumers are already coming end of the month. Now my salespeople are working the 7th to the 15th like it's the end of the month. I got 2 closes. Second thing I did is I had my top producers, didn't have to have a schedule. Never had a schedule. If they did everything that was required of them in the activities on my CRM, they didn't have to have a schedule. And guess what? They had to maintain that. They had to sell their 25 cars a month. They had to do all their activities, but they had no schedule. Just the freedom of saying, you don't have a schedule, buddy. You come whenever you want. You leave whenever you want. Hell, you don't have to show up for 3 weeks if you don't want to. What? Guess what? They got to be there every day anyway to sell that and to keep it going. But it's the freedom. Think outside of the box is what I'm trying to tell you. Go back and do something different. It's not always about putting a $300 spiff out there to sell the yellow Camaro this weekend, okay? Make sure that you're always changing them, counseling them, and the metrics, of course. Save a deal meetings, right? How many of those actually happen? Do they happen? Am I going through that? Are we actually tying that back to the metrics of what our actual lead providers are doing? How many of you hold your lead providers actually accountable through your CRM on what's actually selling but versus not selling and how much you're spending? As opposed to, well, we've always had those leads, let's just keep them coming for the one chance. Think about that. Accountability, it's huge. Happens with your salespeople too. Cross-referencing all the way through. Attractive effectiveness. I've heard a couple of times today, A/B campaigns. Make sure you're doing 2 different ones. Make sure that you're testing that out. Same thing goes with the bonuses and tying into the activities in your CRM. Maybe I'm going to take one team and say, I want you guys to go after 2 phone numbers this week, and this team I want you to get email addresses. Let's see which one works out best, and then let's see which campaign works out best. The problem is our business is so now-orientated, we can't think that long-term. It's like at the end of the month, we have Etch-a-Sketch head, we shake it, oh, we're done, let's start all over again. Your business doesn't start new every month end. It keeps going on. And the real successful dealerships and managers are the ones that keep it going on. It's not just the closeout at the end of the month. Let me tell you one last thing when it comes to this. You cannot manage people, okay? I don't care who you are. Bill Gates doesn't manage people, okay? Steve Jobs never managed people. Think any of the greatest leaders out there, they don't manage people. People are impossible to manage. You have to manage their activities. You have to manage their activities. That's how you get to the goals that you want. And I would take it even further that I need you to stop worrying about their closing ratios and their solds. It's everything that leads up to that. See, the art of negotiation and the art of closing, it's over and it's gone. You're lucky if you have that opportunity now. We've seen all the different statistics that are out there. By the time they're getting to your dealership, they've actually already decided what they're going to buy and that they're hopefully buying it from you because they're only making 1.5 average visits to a dealership now, down from 5 just 5 years ago. All of it's being done beforehand. I loved what Jason was talking about earlier. Hey, look, the experience that you're giving in your CRM and on your showroom, is it the same as what you're projecting on all of your advertisement and your website? Are you really fast, friendly, and fun? Or do I have to sit there for an hour waiting to get my vehicle appraised? Because I'm going to tell you to examine what you say and what you do, and they're 2 different things. I go back to the first thing I told you to do when you get to the dealership. Ask the question, what is our activities? What are our important things? And see how many people actually understand and have a commonality there. Because it's not. So I want you to think about that. Senior managers got to be active. They got to be the ones that drive it. It's tough to do. Salespeople, they're going to get defensive if not. And accountability means you actually hold people accountable for it. And what that really means is it's an every day. It's PDR, as Joe Verdi would say, practice, drill, rehearse. You find those 5 or 6 things. I do this in my own company. Here are the 6 activities we have, and they've heard it twice a week for 52 weeks for at least the last 6 years. Every single week, always the same. And they report it to me. I don't report it to them, because they have to tell me. I already know it, but I want them involved in it. I want them understanding it. See, if you're worrying about where your tracking and your CRM numbers are and you're logging, that's the other thing I always hear, and you're worrying about that on the 20th of the month, your month is over with. It's too late. You should be looking at that on the 1st and the 2nd and the 3rd. So I would tell you to make sure that you track that all the way through. It's not about waiting to the end. Lead to sale conversions, right? Look, everybody's got a bunch of statistics nowadays. Mark Twain had a wonderful saying amongst many others, prolific writer in our history, and he said there are 3 kinds of lies. He says there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. So I'll throw some statistics up there, right? Lead to sale conversions. What is it really? This is a numbers game, but what I want you to find here is the trend, right? We know that within 30 days, 42%. Then we know between 31 and 90, it drops off considerably. This is looking at 7,000 dealerships over the last year and lead conversions and that time factor. Then, when you have a strong process of follow-up, it goes back up again in that 61 to 90 day area. Where is the least amount of attention paid? In most stores right here. Where's the most amount of attention paid? Right there, first 30 days. In fact, I'll tell you, it's first 3 days. Because about day 4, remember that salesperson says to me, oh, they ain't buying. Because they're experts, right? And they're not getting a response back. See, and I tell my own salespeople this all the time, look, we're not the most important things in your life at any given time. And customers are the same way. They have other things going on. Just because there's been a pause they're not responding to doesn't mean you shouldn't make sure you reach out to them, and always effectively reach out. And please call them. Don't send emails. Call them. Have a conversation. Text them. And again, if you're a good salesperson, you're a good manager, you understand, and you're using your CRM, you're telling your CRM at that time how they want to be communicated with. And you cheat. I cheat. I cheat all the time. I am not that smart. Howard Stern, funny guy. I don't have to believe in him or not believe him, but he said something one time that stuck in with me. He says, I write things down every time I get an opportunity to write it down. And the question was, why do you do that? He goes, because I feel like there's only so much stuff and space in my head that I can keep it all. And I believe that. I think there's only so much storage we have. And I think you have to write it down. And I think you need to put it in. So I've got a salesperson here, one of my senior RVPs. His wife's name is Ann. His kid's name is Hud. I know everything about my employees. But I didn't learn that overnight. I cheated. I stuck it in my phone and my CRM. So when he called me, I'd look down and I'd see, oh, his wife is Ann, and I'd ask him about it. Sorry, Randall. I know you thought I really cared about you, but I didn't. But my point to you is you need to cheat. You're not going to remember these things. And you know what people love? People love when you make note of those things and you bring it up later. They love that. They feel different. They feel important. They feel special. And that's something we've lost in our business. We've turned this business into such a numbers piece like this that we've lost the enthusiasm and we've lost that emotion. People don't need to buy a car. They don't have to buy a car. They'll last forever, okay? So it's a numbers game. Numbers fuels the game. I'm the worst closer in this room, but I'll outsell anybody anytime as long as I get in front of more people. That's all I got to do. As Grant Cardone would say, I just got to outright you. If I outright you, I'll outsell you. That's a true statement. And that ties into the CRM. But this is where I don't want you to make the mistake on that. Don't make that mistake where you start beating your salespeople down on what they put into the information. It's about the quality of the information, and it's about what you use it. I never worry about anything because it's all about execution. It's all about execution. There's no difference between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots at the end of the day. They have playbooks, they have professional players. Seattle won the game because they executed. And in fact, most coaches have the same plays. They may call it something different, but they're the same plays. They just executed better than somebody else did. Okay? So don't beat your salespeople down because they will manage to your expectations. Grow your customer value. This is from Kaplan and Anderson. They published this in the Harvard Business Review, but this goes across all industries. And I want you to think about this because this is tough for us in this business, is to say no. It's the hardest word in our business, except when it comes to price. When a customer comes and wants a ridiculous price. We can say no easy then. But it's all the other no's that we need to avoid. 10 to 25% of our customers drive 100% of the profits. That's where most of your money is. Okay? Do you know who those customers are? Can you effectively right now identify that customer? Can you identify them as soon as they walk into the dealership, or is it a guess? Or is it the salesperson who luckily remembers, oh, they bought 5 cars from us, boss? Yeah, but were they profitable buys? There's a difference. If I lost $500 on each one of them and the guy gave me a bad survey, that's a crappy customer. That's not a high value customer. 50 to 60% deliver no profit at all. 10 to 25% actually are negative profitability. And not only are they negative profitability, they're negative for your store. You should target these high profit customers. You should use those customers to your advantage. You've heard all kinds of different things, whether it's video, whether it's communication. And how about the old lost art of the bird dog fee? Anybody even know what that means anymore, bird dog fee, right? Okay, I mean, I'm not picking on you. I'm sorry. What's your name? Nathan, how are you? I'm really quick, so if you get up to punch me, I might dodge it. What's the fee that you're giving out right now on your bird dog fee?
$100 to do 4 cars, and then it goes up to $150.
Would any of you get out of bed for $100? I'm being serious. Does that move you? No offense. Does that move you? Does that really invigorate you? $100. Half of you have socks in here that cost more than $100. Make it realistic. Your average PVR and your advertising cost is probably $300 to $400 right now. That's where you should be. On your highest profitable people, make it something that is going to make them do it. $300, $400. You'd be amazed. If you happen to sell 10 more cars and you spend a couple more $100, would that be all right? I guarantee it would. Right now, you can't even identify those people because you don't know, because you haven't tracked into CRM, but you should. And the next thing is raise your bird dog fee. Because that's not going to move anybody. It's not going to move anybody. You know what an average cell phone bill is right now? Like $200. And if you have a family, it's worse than that. $100 ain't moving anybody to do crap, and it certainly isn't going to get them to come to the dealership where they didn't like you in the first place. Make it something different. Here's another freebie. In your CRM, when I talked about tying the different departments in, you should have your service advisors tied in. How many of your service advisors right now know your used car stock plan? Do you even have a used car stock plan? 10 most popular cars you sell new, you should have sitting there selling used, okay? How many of your service advisors know those are the cars that you're looking for between 3 and 5 years old, between 30,000 and 50,000 miles? That is one of the easiest things you can do right now to tie into your service department of service advisors. They see more cars right now than Captain Lowball does. Captain Lowball is your used car director. He's got a little cape on. He tells you, here's the number, and then he says, but don't let him out of here, which means you know you got another 500 to bump, right? Here's why I say that. And by the way, pay your service advisors $300 or $400. Here's why. Anybody guess what the average transpo cost is to bring a car from auction to the store? About $300 to $500 when you put it on the truck. And guess what? You don't know anything about that car. It's a complete surprise. Oh, and further, you're the dumbest person at the entire auction because you thought that car was worth more than every other person there. That's what winning an auction is about. And you don't know anything about the car. Pay your service advisors $300 to $500. At the very least, make sure they got a list that you can print out of your CRM. Here's our core business. Because they see these cars every single day going in and out. If you want to take it to another level, your CRM should be able to print out an offer to purchase on every single car. Just lay it in the seat. Don't even approach them. Just lay it in the seat. Little handwritten note. Saw this vehicle, love to have it back in our inventory for immediate resale. Don't ever tell them you got a buyer for it. That's a lie. Like to have this vehicle in our inventory for immediate resale. Call me if you're interested. Here's something that interesting happens with consumers. See, initially when they go home, they'll see I'm not just paid that guy money on the damn car to fix it in the first place. Idiot. About 3 days later, this little landmine goes off in the back of their head when they're sitting there watching TV and they start thinking about, man, that would be nice to have a new car. I'm telling you, you'd be amazed. By the way, 2% of all registrations in any market change over every month. That means 2% of the people that have a registered vehicle in your market are buying a new one every month. That's the way it's been for years. And they're going through your service lane right now. Focus on the right customers, but if you don't have it tied in to your CRM, you're not going to know, and you're going to be left out in the cold. People manage people, not software. Make sure that you got your desk log, make sure you got appointments, quotes. Everything should be visible at any time. Test drives are a lot less important now. We all know the cars are great, and like I said, you got a 1.5 opportunity when they come in versus 5 visits before. They've probably driven it. But I'm going to encourage you to not lose this, because that's where the excitement is. That's where the enthusiasm is. That's where the, man, I really would like a new car. That's the new car smell. And especially all the technology that's out there, that's the hugest thing that you can focus on right now. Don't have training seminars inside your store on closing and negotiation. Have it on product knowledge, have it on the technology, have it on follow-up and when to follow up. Here's another freebie. You want to follow up with people? Stop putting your salespeople in sales jail when they come in every day at the same time. And then they call the same numbers, which is the home number, which guess where your customers aren't at? Because they have a job. Thank God. I don't want to get somebody at home at 11 o'clock in the morning where I hear Oprah and Cheetos. That's a bad sign. I want them to be at work. So I'm going to give you a couple freebies on that. Get work numbers. Work and sell. Don't ever ask for home. How do you get them? You ask for it. What is your work number? What is your cell number? Look down, start writing. They'll give it to you. Don't even bother with home. Second thing is, when you get those numbers, call them between 9 a.m. and about 11 o'clock in the morning. You know why? They're getting to work and they don't want to work. And if you don't believe me, look at your salespeople. You know him, tie on the fly guy. He comes running in at 5 after 9, put his tie on. Every day, same thing. Like the time didn't change. And then what do? Whew. Hey, what'd you do last night, man? Right? Smoking, joking, cussing, cursing, telling last night's stories. They're not ready to ease into the day yet. That's exactly when they should be on the phone with their customers, because your customers don't want to work yet either. But you know what's great about being on the phone while you're at work? It looks like you're working. If you don't believe me, go back to your dealership and call a lot party. Do you guys still do that? Lot parties when you rearrange the lot once a week so it looks like you're moving inventory. I used to do that. As soon as I get on there, like, sure, we got a lot party. Everybody up to the desk, please. My salespeople would disappear like roaches when you turn the lights on. Every one of them would be on the phone, smiling and dialing. Oh, got an appointment, boss. Guys, it's basic psychology, okay? Get your salespeople to get on the phone in the morning between 9 and 11:30. Huge pickup and response rate. Customers will talk to them because they don't want to be at work and they don't like their jobs. I know that's shocking. You guys are different. You love your jobs. They don't. And it looks like they're getting paid while they're sitting there doing that. Make sure those activities are actually completed. That's another huge accountability that we don't look at. You know what we do? We take their word for it, right? Oh yeah, I made those calls, boss. Your CRM should be tied in, bless you. Your CRM should be tied automatically into the phones. I'm not promoting anybody or any particular company. Everybody has lots of integrations. But make sure that it's integrated into that. And your CRM should also tie in where it's automatic, so that you can say, hey, if they're on the phone for 45 minutes, it marks that task as being completed. Your salesperson doesn't even need to go into the CRM. Because I know that if it's 45 seconds, they were on the phone with them having some type of conversation, not leaving a voicemail. I think that's huge. By the way, you also need to make sure that you're really working very strongly on your number of outbound calls and the number of inbound calls. There's going to be people that are going to be talking about mobile and this and that. That's another word that's been whacked out. Mobile, I should have said that too. Mobile millennials. Everything's mobile, my God. But you know what isn't mobile? Online scheduling for service. It sucks. Have any of you ever tried to do an online schedule for service? And you know what people do? Click the call. And so what's happened is the number of phone calls into any given dealership has risen, not only in sales but in service, directly tied to mobile search. So we thought we were going to solve it by doing this online scheduling. All we've done is created more issues, which is now your phone call rates into the stores. Are you monitoring that? It's the easiest amount of money you can make in the world. but you should be able to track that directly through the CRM. I only threw this up there because this is a real store. It's a Hyundai store, Hatfield Hyundai. Larry Scott's the GM. 99% task completion in September, 78% in October. You can actually get this done. If you hold people accountable, it is absolutely true that they will do their work and their work plan and their follow-up. They will actually do it because they have plenty of time to do it. And the art of lead generation on their own is gone. Get it back, find it. That's what mobile's about. I should be able to go anywhere and talk to a customer and log them into a mobile device, into my CRM. I should be able to do it anywhere I spend money. Anywhere I spend money, I should be able to talk to that person. If you go to the dry cleaner and you're there every week, you should have the opportunity to get them logged in because they're going to buy a car someday and you've been sitting there giving them money for all these years. We've forgotten about that. Anyway, it can be done. I think I got like 2 minutes and I'll blow past this. Are you actually staying connected? What this is here, this is interesting. This is over a 10-year client sampling of 100 different dealerships. We got 8 million, almost 8.5 million email addresses. During those 10 years, over 5 million of them had opted out. Then you had another 3.3 million that were actually still able to email to, 40%. Okay? We do a terrible job in this industry of email capture, email purification, and then we do an even worse job of being Vikings. And you know what Vikings do? They keep sailing up the fjord to the village, and they burn it, and they rape it, and they pillage it, and then they go home, and then they go do it again. See, we used to do it with mail 10 years ago. We get a mail sale that worked, a repo sale, I did all of them, whatever, police seize sale. You do it, and then it'd work, and then you'd be like, do it again, and it'd just be over and over again because we're Vikings. And then last time it didn't work, what'd we do? Well, that mail sale sucked. No, it was us. We suck. We're doing the same thing with email. We're carpet bombing them like a B-52 carpet bomb, and we're making our own customers opt out. And that's killing you. It's killing you. So my last thing on that piece would be make sure when you do capture their email, communicate to them in a way that is A, informative, B, that it's the right message at the right time, C, do not sit there and put blanket emails out to them every single month, whatever the holiday is. Happy Halloween from Jerry Jabroni Honda, come buy a new Civic. They don't give a crap. All they do is they abuse you, they mark you abused, and then they opt out, and then you can't send them an email, okay? 2 last things, I love this. Love this. This is why I love this. Hopefully you can't read this yet. Some of you may have. If you have a motivational poster in your office, please go home and die because you are dead already. If you need a poster to get you going every day and make you feel alive and make you want to go out there and do positive things in this world, I'm sorry. Goodbye. It's been nice knowing you. You probably wake up every day and say, shit, I'm still alive. And some of you know people like that, and they're in your dealership right now. They're in your dealership right now, and they're talking to customers. Get rid of them. Multitasking, the art of doing twice as much as you should, half as well as you could. Love that. So I fool people with these in my office. They come in, and I instantly know what kind of people are. Oh, you got, and then, and I'm like, you're one of those people. You should die. Last one. Love this one. This is my favorite one because you're surrounded by it here this week. And I mean that in a very loving and affectionate way. Consulting. If you're not a part of the solution, there's good money to be made in prolonging the problem. Remember that. Execute. Last couple of things on a serious note. Obviously, NADA coming up. Love to see you all out there. More importantly, follow me at any time. Reach out with anything I can support you with, any questions, anything else. And I always end every presentation with this. It's 3 important things. Number 1, do good. Go out in the world and do good. Give, be charitable. It's great to give. It creates great karma. Number 2, make a positive effect on people's lives, one way or another. The last one is whatever you do, do something. What do I mean by that? You're going to hear all these great people. You're going to hear all this great information. I mean, it's truly unbelievable when you start to listen to some of the knowledge that's out there. And the worst thing in the world is you go back to the dealership and you keep doing what you've been doing and it's all gone. See, I can have the greatest salesperson in the world, knows every closing tool, knows every Grant Cardone, knows every Joe Verdi, knows every David Cain process. And if they're not in front of a customer, they're worthless. So whatever you do, do something. And don't be afraid of failure. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Always great to be here, David. Always such a great show.